Hey there guys, what's going on? This is Diehard Gamer back once again with another new vlog. And I have been watching Power Rangers Dino Charge lately, and it is a pretty good season so far. Especially after the 4 years of underwhelming crap that we got from Jonathan Zacher. Don't even get me started on him. Dino Charge has an original story, which is what the fans have been complaining about for the past 4 years, as well as the fact that Judd Lin, yes, that Judd Lin, has returned to the franchise as the writer and the executive producer. And a lot of the fans out there, the newer fans, I don't know if they've seen any of his previous work with Power Rangers, like Power Rangers in Space, Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force, and I think Wild Force. But Judd Lin does a pretty good job at what he does. He tells an original story that's completely different from the Sentai source material, which is what everybody has been wanting. And when you give them an original story as well as original characters and character-focused episodes, well, scratch that last part, but you get what I'm trying to get at here. They still complain and bitch and moan and what have you because they can't have they can't have things their way, the way that they want them, and they were unfortunately way too spoiled by Kyoryuger, which is the Sentai source material for this season. And honestly, I think that's a bad thing because we've seen this with Super Mega Force as well as Gokaiger previously. They spoil themselves way too much on the Sentai, and then when the Power Rangers adaptation comes out, they expect it to be the same for some reason or whatever. It's like, no, it's not that way. It's ridiculous. And I've been saying this for quite some time, because of the fact that a lot of people out there like to compare the Sentai source material with the Power Rangers adaptation, which I think, as well as quite a few other people out there, is just absolutely really ridiculous. It's like comparing apples and oranges, you know. You're not going to get a distinct winner. There are some cases with, like, for example, Time Force and Wild Force, for example, because the story, as well as Lightspeed Rescue and Power Rangers RPM, the last season before the franchise was supposedly going to be canceled before Saban bought the rights back from Disney. But there are seasons like that are quite different from their original Sentai source material. And I'm one of those people that is in the minority that you should treat both the Sentai and the Power Rangers adaptation as their two separate entities. That's what I've been preaching for quite some time now. Yeah, you can compare the Sentai and the Power Rangers adaptation all you want, but at the end of the day, at least in my opinion, it doesn't really prove which one is better. And all of this stuff where people ask stuff like Time Ranger or Time Force, Gal Ranger or Wild Force, Go-Go 5 or Lightspeed Rescue, which is better. It's just ridiculous because it's all just a matter of personal preference as well as personal opinion, really. Everybody's going to feel different and have a different opinion. And a lot of people aren't going to agree, or they will agree. So there's not really any clear distinction of a 100% winner. That's why I think this thing where people compare the Sentai to the Power Rangers adaptation and compare the Power Rangers adaptation to the Sentai is just absolutely ridiculous, and it just needs to stop. Treat both of them, the Power Rangers adaptation and the Sentai, as two individual entities, as their own separate thing. And if the fans out there can do more of that, then I seriously think that the Power Rangers fandom might end up in a much better place than it is right now. So anyway, what else can I talk about? I will be getting myself an AV Famicom. The AV Famicom, of course, is the Japanese version of the NES Model 101, which is also known as the NES Top Loader. And there are a couple of games that came out for the Famicom that you can't use with a Famicom to NES converter. You can basically buy these off of eBay as well as make your own by picking up one of the early NES titles that has 5 screws on the back. When you know that the game has 5 screws on the back, then you'll know that there's a converter inside, and you can use that to play Famicom games on an NES as well as the top loader, which is what I've been doing. And unfortunately, I got myself one of the Dragon Ball games where the cartridge just won't fit in the converter. And I don't feel like widening down the converter or modding it in any way. So I just decided, screw it, I'm gonna get myself an AV Famicom. Which is basically what I did, because one of the eBay stores that sells Japanese imports had a AV Famicom on sale, 12% off for like 97 bucks, which is almost close to $100, and I would have liked to have had it less than that, but unfortunately, it was one of those moments where you kind of had to strike while the iron is hot, so yeah. That's basically what I ended up doing. And I should be getting that somewhere around early March, early next month, which will be great. The two Famicom games that one of them is the original Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Mystery of Shenron, which came out over here in America as Dragon Power for the NES. The other game, which I'm still very tempted to buy, is Akumajo Densetsu, which is basically the Japanese version of Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, but the Famicom version had a extra chip in it that added some that made the music and the audio in the game more realistic, or made it sound like it was a game for the Sega Genesis, even though it wasn't, called the VRC6 chip. And it was a chip that Konami had used for quite a bit of their games besides just that one. That's one of the games I'm planning on getting. The other game is another game that never came out here in America, unfortunately, called Crisis Force. So, and those two games are kind of expensive, so I can buy those games whenever, since that JapanGamestock.com still has them in stock, which is a good thing. Also, I have been taking guitar lessons, been learning quite a bit about music itself, and the timing and the rhythm and stuff like that. And it's very awesome. Lately, I've been learning Disposable Heroes by Metallica, and last song I was learning was Master of Puppets, but for whatever reason, basically because of the fact that my guitar teacher doesn't want to have me stuck on the same song for quite some time, he just decided that I should learn another song. So I'm kind of hoping that I go back to Master of Puppets and kind of finish the parts that I'm missing that I haven't learned yet. Minus the solos. There is no way in hell that I'll be able to learn those solos, especially the guitar solo that Kirk Hammett plays. Good grief. And I've been taking lessons for a good 9 months now, so geez, time flies. Also, what else is there? I'm also glad that I get to have a lot of extra time before I have to get ready and leave for the lessons, because that gives me a lot of free time to just do whatever after I take a shower and get myself ready and all that. And let's see. Haven't been watching a whole lot of Toku. There's a lot of Toku I need to get back to watching. Kamen Rider W for one. Need to get back to watching more of Zero Ranger, because I just finished the Dragon Ranger arc. I need to watch Kamen Rider Gaim. Haven't watched that. I've skipped out on Tokyuger as well as Kamen Rider Drive. I'm just not really feeling it with Kamen Rider Drive because of the fact that Easy Rider as well as some other people have said that it just feels like the main writer for that show, Riku Sanjo, is just trying to repeat what she did with Kamen Rider W, because Kamen Rider Double was a very successful entry in the Kamen Rider franchise, and unfortunately, it's one of those instances where lightning only strikes in a bottle once, and you're not going to have the same success happen again, which is unfortunately what is happening with Kamen Rider Drive so far. And as far as I know, Kamen Rider Drive has went back to the very old, tireless, constricting formula of having 2-episode arcs. And having these kinds of arcs, personally, I think isn't a very good idea, because it really, really constricts things as far as a writing perspective goes. With Kamen Rider Gaim, you didn't have that. And the writing for Kamen Rider Gaim, as well as the overall plot, it was fleshed out when it went along, and it felt like a Showa-era kind of Kamen Rider series. Showa-era, very early Heisei era, before the 2-episode thing came into play with Kamen Rider Dino, I believe it was. And I'm not saying that I don't like those kinds of arcs, it's just that we've seen in the past, especially with Kamen Rider Forze, how much that can make or break a Kamen Rider show. And unfortunately with Forze, don't even get me started on that, by the way. Unfortunately, with Kamen Rider Forze, the 2-episode story arc just really, really ended up hurting Forze, in my opinion. So, I've got a lot of Toku to watch. Should be should be practicing on my guitar as well. Even though I've got a whole lot of different things going on in my head right now. Oh, DuckTales! Here's something else that I can talk about. DuckTales and Inspector Gadget are coming back. Never thought this would happen. Disney XD is bringing back DuckTales, which is a Disney cartoon from the 1980s. Disney XD is going to be bringing that back and rebooting it sometime in 2017, I believe. And Netflix is going to be rebooting Inspector Gadget. I don't know when that will be starting. Don't know when that'll be starting. I was a big fan of Inspector Gadget for a while because he was inspired by the I can't think of that professor's name. But it was kind of inspired by the Pink Panther in a way, I think. And my question that I have is, who are they going to hire to do the voice for Inspector Gadget? Because, as you obviously well know, the original voice actor for Inspector Gadget, Don Adams, who was a great actor, by the way, is no longer with us. So I'm kind of wondering who they will get to be the new voice actor for Inspector Gadget. You can have Frank Welker come back to do the voice for Brain as well as Dr. Claw. Get Frank Welker back, that'll be all well and good. As well as get as many of the original voice actors from who did the voice acting for the DuckTales cartoon back in the day. Get as many of those surviving cast members back to do the reboot of DuckTales for Disney XD. There's just a lot of awesome stuff happening. There's the Power Rangers movie reboot, which will be happening in the summer next year. There's the new Ghostbusters reboot, which will be coming out around at the same time. DuckTales is coming back. Inspector Gadget is returning. It's a great time to be a geek and a nerd right now. But I would love to see Gargoyles make a return. I would love to see that come back. I don't know if it's going to happen. I would love to have Keith David as well as Jonathan Frakes and as well as a lot of the other cast from Star Trek The Next Generation come back and reprise their roles for a new Gargoyles. I think that would be absolutely very awesome, because Gargoyles was pretty much Disney's version of Batman in the animated series, and to its credit, I think that Gargoyles was a very good cartoon, and it sucks that it was canceled after season 2, because there was a lot more stuff that I felt like they could have done and that they could have explored story-wise. And as far as the Goliath Chronicles go, I don't even count that as a separate season, really. But anyhow, what else can I talk about? The new Batman game, Batman Arkham Knight, that has an M rating. I never thought that would happen, but it has. There's a Batman game that has a mature rating. So, I definitely can't wait to start playing that. That's going to be coming out for the next-gen consoles only, PS4 and Xbox One. There will be no versions of it for last-gen, the PS3 and the 360, which I think is a very smart move. Well, I guess that's pretty much it. All that I have on my mind at this time around. Be sure to check out the latest episode of the Nerd Fortress podcast, where Devin and myself did an interview with Anna Cherry about the whole Gamergate fiasco. I'll definitely link you guys to that in the description below as well. So, until next time, this has been Die Hard Gamer signing out.